Yeah, I know. That's right, that very recent reaction I did of that very impressive new era Maiden track, The Talisman. Well, I did promise I would do a music video or a studio track next, but yeah, along came Chris. Another request. Turns out Chris is from my era and remembers the classic period, and also he's been enjoying my let's say journey of discovery with new era Maiden. And well, anyway, it's been noted that I do occasionally like to cover the odd bootleg or two, right? And I've been told there's a great recording of Maiden from the early 1990s. This one live in California. And apparently it's not a well-known recording, and it's a pretty decent recording as well. And it's of the song Be Quick or Be Dead. Now that is nostalgic for me, because that period of Maiden was pretty much the last, let's say, the last tango I had with Maiden before I went off into the wilderness for decades. So there's something a little bit personal to me about that. And Be Quick or Be Dead I remember as a song. I remember it was off Fear of the Dark. It was, in fact, my favourite song off that album. And I actually saw Maiden promoting Fear of the Dark. I saw them live at the Monsters of Rock festival, which quickly felt a little bit different from previous Monsters of Rock shows, especially the ones in the 1980s. It kind of felt a bit different, and I don't know exactly why. Maybe it was the lineup, even though, yeah, Slayer were there, and they were really good. I remember Skid Row, which was a band I was never really into, but they were good live. And of course, Maiden were there promoting Fear of the Dark, and that was a really good show, man. But it just felt a bit different for some reason or another. Maybe it was just that period, because, yeah, that whole grunge thing had started as well. So I don't know, but it just felt a bit different. But anyway, Be Quick or Be Dead, as I said, it was my favourite track. I remember it was the opening song, probably because it was so full on, right? It's a very, very hard, fast track. And, you know, I do like to do history analysis of Maiden tracks, right? Now, Be Quick or Be Dead was actually a song. It was written about social commentary, really. But because we're several decades ahead now, I suppose you could say it's a historic song now, right? Because the track was written loosely about the media mogul Robert Maxwell. Yes, Maxwell. And we've all heard that surname recently tied with Epstein, right? But we'll go into all of that after we've seen this apparently very, very cool live recording. So we'll do that. But first, let's watch Maiden live in California. Be Quick or Be Dead. Okay. Oh, yes. Because this was the beginning of the show, so this is the build-up. July 1st, 1992, at 9 p.m. There you go. I think this is... Yeah, this is the pre-show build-up for Fear of the Dark. I think they're supposed to be bats. Actually, I remember in Donington they had this like vampire theme. Okay. I can hear the thunder. I don't see the lightning though. They probably used this at Donington as well. I can't remember, but... Oh, that's a Bruce scream. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this song takes no prisoners, sir. Actually, it's not a bad quality, huh? For 1992. There's Harry. Again, live, no overdubs, sir. They sound good. Is Steve Harris the most energetic bass player in history? I reckon so, eh? Oh yeah, Dave was running around more at this period, wasn't he? I always loved this bridge. With the solo, huh? And I love Yannick doing that as well. Ah. Davey solo. You hear it, man. Yes! Now I remember why I like this track so much. Whoa! And also, remembering now, Dave Murray started running around more when Yannick Gers came. Because in the 80s, Adrian and Dave used to be like bookends in a way. They used to move around, but I remember when Yannick Gers... I remember seeing it, and it was quite noticeable, actually, now, come to think of it. On the No Prayer tour, Dave Murray was running around more, and you saw him do that there. So Yannick Gers did bring a different dimension to Maiden live. And yeah, like I said, it's got that high-energy tempo. In fact, I guess sort of reminiscent from some of the stuff they did Number of the Beast time. And I think that was probably one of the reasons why it was my favourite track from Fear of the Dark. Because, yeah, it just had that quality. Yeah. And I know, yes, this is not a digital recording. It's not 4K. But hey, it's not a bad quality for early 1990s. And it's a great window into Maiden live without any of the processing and overdubs and shit. And it shows the true class of Maiden live. I mean, Bruce's voice, again, man. Yeah, you can't argue with that, can you? So that was, yeah, kind of like taking me down memory lane. And now I'm remembering Bruce's outfit. Yes. We're not going to talk about Bruce's trousers again. I've already done that a few times. So Be Quick or Be Dead, as I mentioned earlier, was loosely based. It was a social commentary song, which was kind of unusual for Maiden at that time, I guess. Or at least they were changing their writing process. And it was loosely based on the guy Robert Maxwell. All right, there was a whole controversy around corruption, right, with this guy. Now, Robert Maxwell was originally from Czechoslovakia. He was Jewish, and he left Czechoslovakia when the Nazis invaded. Anyway, he built up this media empire in the UK. He owned the newspaper, the Mirror newspaper group. And anybody who remembers the 1980s, the Sun and the Mirror were the two big tabloids. And it was always Rupert Murdoch and Robert Maxwell. They were two of the most influential guys in the UK because they used to, say, partner political sides, but they, let's just say they helped form the narrative. Probably not as bad as it is today with the tech companies getting involved, but it was still pretty influential, and they were powerful men, right? But anyway, Robert Maxwell turned out that he had been embezzling the pension funds of his own employees for hundreds of millions. So this came out, right? And of course, he was in trouble for that. Now, let me just check something to make sure I'm saying this correctly. Yes, he had a luxury yacht, right? Now, the name Maxwell, again, I said earlier, we've all heard about Maxwell. Recently, Ghislaine Maxwell was Robert Maxwell's daughter. And of course, she's currently, well, I don't know if she's she is in prison, but I think she was moved to a less strict prison in the US, which was all a bit bizarre. That was, wasn't it? But anyway, she's been convicted of helping Jeffrey Epstein. Let's not go there with the files because they still haven't been disclosed. Shame on you. But anyway, Ghislaine, Robert's daughter, he named his yacht, Lady Ghislaine. Okay, so he named it after his daughter. In 1991, Robert Maxwell's body was discovered floating in the Atlantic Ocean near the Canary Islands. Now, apparently, he had fallen overboard. Okay? So, the official ruling at an inquest held in December 1991 was death by a heart attack combined with accidental drowning. Now, there were 3 pathologists. However, they were unable to agree on the actual cause of his death at the inquest. So there were lots of question marks. He had been found to suffer from serious heart and lung conditions, but they still could not agree on what was the actual cause. Now, apparently, according to the staff of this luxury yacht, the Lady Ghislaine, Robert, it was quite common for him to go out onto the deck and urinate into the sea whilst naked. So rather than using the toilet facilities on board, he preferred to go out onto the deck and urinate into the sea, whilst naked. Classy. Okay. Now, the fact that the pathologists couldn't agree on the cause of death, well, this created a number of different theories about what was going on. All right. Now, as I said, Robert Maxwell was originally from Czechoslovakia. He was Jewish, and he had a lot of links with Israel and the government of Israel. Now, some believe that he was himself a Mossad spy. Okay? And due to the problems he had with this whole embezzlement case, he asked the Israelis for £400 million, I suppose, to help him out. Again, this is pure speculation. But some believe that Israel refused and were then afraid that he would expose elements of Mossad to the general public. In other words, maybe they thought that he could blackmail them. So, speculation again. Some think that assassins were sent out to his yacht and killed him with a nerve agent. Yes, very murky and mysterious, and I suppose we shall never really know, right? Well, what we do know is that Eddie was in a tussle with Robert Maxwell, because on the cover of the single, he's there holding him, right? Or it's some fat bloke in a suit, which I think is supposed to be Robert Maxwell. So yeah. So, like I said, it was social commentary at the time. Now we're looking back from, 2026, and it's history. So, and it's a very intriguing story, Robert Maxwell. And of course, you've got the link with, his daughter and the whole Epstein thing as well. So, yeah. A murky world. But yeah, Be Quick or Be Dead. It was more nostalgia for me. Great to hear the song again and to see it live in a very cool bootleg. And I think we can all appreciate that Maiden have always been a top-notch live act, right? Not just now, but they've always been a great act live. And, well, this is proof of that. So, all right, up the irons.